We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. Shakespeare wrote these words about the bond that soldiers have for each other. After the Vietnam War, Americans learned that we can hate the war, but we must honor the soldier.
The men and women who fought in Vietnam, they were not well treated by this country.
My time in Vietnam was spent with, I was on aircraft, I flew aircraft all the time, you know, and the worst part I ever had the whole time I was there was the 10 days before I left, we had a major rocket attack, and one hit right in front of the hooch I was in, and it blew us all to the rear of the hooch. And I'll never forget this. We're all laying there on the floor, and, you know, and your ears are ringing, and you're trying to get your head cleared up and all that. And my buddy's laying there, and he looks over at me, and he says, "Damn, that was close." You know, and we're like, close. We're all laying in a big heap on the floor, you know, and it felt like my fillings fell out. And he's pulling on my, that's what he was doing. He was pulling on my leg, thinking, he said, "Is this leg attached to something?" You know. But that's the common thing, that you have that bond that we were talking about, you know, those idiotic things that you think about like that. But then after that, you know, then you're like totally petrified, you know, freaking 10 days left and I'm going to get killed, you know.
My uniform was a regular GI uniform with medical pouches, a Red Cross on both sleeves, and a painted Red Cross on a helmet.
When you were flying missions in Germany, what aircraft did you fly?
P-47, Thunderbolt.
I think it was Hill 113. They reported 6 to 8 German 88s tanks right there, posed, ready to do battle, and we would have to climb the hill, and we'd be dead ducks. So it needed air support.
The squadron leader does all the navigating. You fly on his wing, you fly in close formation looking for other targets and so on.
Within 10 minutes, we've seen 6 P-47, wonderful, beautiful P-47s, come in and tip their wings. They want to know the position. So we give them the position, and 5 minutes later, there were no more German tanks. Thank God. And then we took the hill.
If you had a P-47 pilot standing in front of you right now, what
I
would
would
you
have kissed him. I did. I kissed a lot of them. It don't mean nothing. And P-47s, they were the greatest planes in the world. The Germans, they used to hate that plane. They used to dislike it because they say, "Oh my," they used to call that Jabu, which means that it's terrible, something like that in German. I don't know. That's what they used to call them.
I was a fighter pilot and flew P-47s. We did dive bombing and strafing.
And all of a sudden we saw about 6, I think it was 6 P-47. Oh, we were so happy. They come in and tip their wings, you know, they want to know where the target was. So they come in and they show the target, and the P-47s just whip away. In 5 minutes, there was no more Tiger tanks.
Good.
And the captain says, "Now we'll take the hill." And they did. Good. And that was it. And we saved a lot of money for that. Oh, I love them P-47s.
Yeah.
Oh,
You form this bond of, it's a bond of lower guys that, you know, you're together. You're the ones doing the dirty deed, to say, the battle, the fighting, and the being shot at and being hurt and being injured.
It's maybe even stronger with veterans because when you come back from something like this and you get married and you start raising your children, this isn't something you want to share with them. This isn't something you want to tell your wife, but you've got to talk it out with somebody. And having fellas who've been there with you, that's a tremendous comfort. I've been to veterans reunions, and these guys, they may not see each other for 365 days at a time, but as soon as they're in contact again, it's like they've never been apart.
You know, when you go up on Memorial Day and you go into a cemetery and you see all those flags flying on all those graves, and you look at, I always call it in the company of heroes, because each one of those graves marks a hero. Each one of those graves you walk upon, you put your hand on that tombstone, there's a story there that he could tell you about his duty in his services.
We lost about 18,000 guys in Iwo Jima in a week.
It was 6,000 the first day they invaded Iwo Jima.
The battle for Iwo Jima, considering the number of men involved, was the bloodiest battle in the history of the Marine Corps.
Did you know where your brother was on Iwo Jima?
Yeah. Well, I knew where the 4th Division was. They were to the right of, like the 5th was on the left side and the 4th was on the right side. So I commandeered a Jeep and took off up there. He was only up about 2.5 miles, 2 miles up this little road they had. And I found his unit and we had a nice visit.
What did you talk about?
When we're going home. when we're getting out. There was a lieutenant, as I understand it, a corpsman, and another Marine. They found a piece of pipe, about 8-10 foot. They tied the flag on that and stood it up.
To signify that they made it, they'll raise a flag. They'll find a pipe and they'll lash a flag to it and they'll put it up.
Of course, everyone, you know, at the base of Suribachi could see that. You could see it almost from every position in the island.
And that will be seen by all the Marines below them and also be seen by the supporting warships out to sea, which will start blowing their whistles and the troops will be cheering and things like that.
That brought a whole new light to those soldiers at Iwo Jima. The battle wasn't over by any light, but there was that flag raised upon that, which gave them hope and honor and a feeling.
And one of the people who is witnessing this scene is James V. Forrestal, the Secretary of the Navy. And he will turn to a senior Marine general and say that that flag raising will guarantee a Marine Corps for the next 500 years. But it's not that big a flag. And a larger one will be sent up, and it'll be raised about 3 hours later. And as it goes up, a wire service photographer named Joe Rosenthal will take a picture. And he doesn't really think it's that big a deal. Everyone has their backs to him.
And of course, that picture was seen around the world.
And that will capture the nation's imagination. It will become the icon for a major war bond drive, and it will become really the icon of the Marine Corps.
At this very hour, young American men and women are in uniform and in harm's way in foreign lands and dangerous places.
We are thankful for your continued vigilance and observance of the men and women killed in Afghanistan and Iraq. Please don't stop until they all come home. It occurred when we couldn't find out how many kids were getting killed in the war. You know, so I'll put up a sign and I'll put up a flag for every person who is killed, so people who come by know that something's going on. First pole I put up was this, and it was 300 flags.
You don't run out to the store and buy a flag every time you put one more flag up?
No, we buy them by the 500, I think.
Okay.
How many do we have in stock?
There's another box of flags in there.
There's another box at my studio. Yeah, makes me sad. So thank you again for providing this daily reminder and honoring those who have given their lives in the service of their country.
It's very simple, you know, and it's what I tell a lot of people too. It's just 2 little words. Thank you. No matter World War II veteran, somebody that just came home in the supermarket, just go tap them on the shoulder. Thanks. Vietnam veteran, you make their week. 30 years later, thank you. What? That's it, thank you.